We're turning off the main road onto a back road.
It is technically illegal for Israelis to travel in these parts of the West Bank, but this group doesn't seem to mind. By taking these bumpy dirt roads, they are able to bypass military checkpoints and reach their destination, a settlement that is not supposed to exist anymore. Rabbi Elishama Cohen embarks on this journey nearly every day. The rabbi is part of a group officially known as Homesh First, which aims to resettle all of the former settlements that have been evacuated by Israel in the West Bank and Gaza, starting with the safest and most accessible one, a settlement called Homesh.
We have returned to the land of Israel after being banished for 2,000 years. And we do not intend on being banished again from our land. The government might, through negotiations, think that they can destroy a community and force people out, but any opportunity that we have, we will return.
Reporting by the New York Times over several months across the West Bank has indicated that settlers are unlikely to resort to organized violence to prevent further withdrawals, but that they will engage in acts of civil disobedience to prove their point. This was Homesh 4 years ago. It was founded in 1980 in the northern West Bank. Up until August of 2005, 60 families lived here under the protection of the Israeli army. That year, the army evacuated Homesh along with 3 other West Bank settlements as part of Israel's disengagement plan. The more ideologically driven Jewish settlers resisted the government's orders and were forcibly removed from their homes and synagogues. While much of the world's attention was focused on the large-scale pullout from Gaza, this was intended to be the first step in a more comprehensive West Bank withdrawal. Unlike the Gaza Strip settlements, which were handed over to the Palestinian Authority and later controlled by Hamas, the 4 West Bank settlements were retained by the Israeli army. Homesh, at least in theory, was to become a closed military zone.
The infrastructure of the settlement still exists. The only thing missing here are the residents, the Jews. This was the settlement's synagogue. Those are the head offices. The dormitories of the yeshiva are over there.
Benny Gal used to live in the settlement and often comes back to visit. Benny walks around to inspect the still functioning water system and takes a stroll around his old block.
It was a human tragedy what happened 4 years ago. We miss it here.
The grass nearly covers the lot where his house once stood. It was here 4 years ago that he was dragged from his home against his will.
If someone asks me where I live, I tell them Homesh. If you ask my son where he's from, he'll say Homesh. Sure, today I live in another place, but I am from Homesh.
On Mondays and Thursdays, the rabbi brings a Torah to where the settlement's synagogue once stood. 15 students take turns reading from their holy book and spend much of the day studying and praying. The group has maintained a constant presence in Homesh for the past 2 years. Both the Israeli government and army know full well that they're here, but they have chosen thus far to ignore them. A deputy prime minister recently visited the settlement against the wishes of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, exposing divisions in the government's inner circle.
History says that great and true things always start with individuals. We are the first green shoots in a great revolution that must happen in the nation of Israel.
Rabbi Cohen sees his group as the stewards of a Jewish revolution of sorts.
I believe with complete faith in the coming of the Messiah.
The revolution that Rabbi Cohen refers to is the coming of the Messiah, which he believes is connected to Jews settling Homesh and the rest of Greater Israel.
Our right to this land stems from the fact that God gave it to us, and as long as it is not in our hands, the whole world will face calamities. Once the Jews recognize our rights to this land and stand up for what is ours, that will bring a solution to all the world's problems.
Today is a special day in Homesh. The students completed an entire tractate of the Talmud. They dance the hora and sing in celebration. It is considered unsafe to leave the Torah here overnight, so before dusk, it is zipped back up and taken to a neighboring settlement. A core group of settlers will remain for their nightly guard duty, unsure of what tomorrow will bring. For the New York Times, this is Ethan Bronner in Homesh, the West Bank.